From rags to riches, the little nation that could. This is the story of America, a nation that started with almost nothing and rose to become a global powerhouse. America in the late 1700s? A total underdog story. Imagine a fledgling nation just finding its feet after a long and grueling fight for independence. Picture a scrappy, newly independent nation with a bad case of bedhead from throwing off the shackles of British rule. The leaders were visionaries, but they were also realists who knew the road ahead would be tough. They had a dream, a declaration, and a whole lot of debt. The Declaration of Independence was a bold statement, but it didn't come with a manual on how to build a nation from scratch. Not exactly the recipe for global domination, right? The early economy was fragile, and the new nation faced numerous challenges, from internal strife to external threats.
But here's the thing about Americans. They're scrappy. They come from diverse backgrounds, bringing with them a wealth of knowledge and a spirit of resilience. They also love a good underdog story, probably because they see themselves in every single one. This collective belief in the possibility of success fueled their determination. So they rolled up their sleeves, dusted off their tricorn hats, and got to work. They built communities, established trade, and laid the foundations of what would become a thriving economy. They had land, lots of it, full of resources just waiting to be exploited. The vast landscapes provided opportunities for agriculture, mining, and expansion. And they had a knack for innovation, even if it meant borrowing ideas from other cultures and claiming them as their own. This spirit of ingenuity led to numerous inventions and advancements. We're looking at you, fireworks. Yes, even the celebratory displays were borrowed, but they became uniquely American over time.
The point is, America's journey to economic greatness wasn't preordained. It was a series of calculated risks, bold decisions, and a bit of luck. It was a combination of luck, hard work, and a healthy dose of opportunism. The Industrial Revolution brought new opportunities, and Americans were quick to seize them, but hey, that's kind of their thing, isn't it? Celebrating their achievements, learning from their failures, and always pushing forward. This relentless drive is what turned a little nation into a global leader. Today, the echoes of those early struggles and triumphs can still be seen in the bustling cities and iconic landmarks that define America. The journey from a scrappy underdog to a global powerhouse is a testament to the enduring spirit of the American people. And as the nation continues to evolve, the same spirit of resilience, innovation, and determination that fueled its rise remains at its core. The story of America is far from over. It's a living, breathing narrative that continues to unfold with each passing day. Steaming ahead when America met the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution was like a global game of musical chairs, and America snagged itself a front-row seat. While Europe was busy inventing things like steam engines and power looms, America was like, ooh, shiny.
They embraced these new technologies with the enthusiasm of a kid in a candy store, except instead of sugar highs, they got factories, railroads, and a whole lot of pollution. But hey, progress is messy.
This period was a time of massive growth and urbanization. Cities sprouted up like mushrooms after the rain, and people flocked to them in search of work and a chance to be a part of this exciting new world. Of course, it wasn't all sunshine and roses. There were labor disputes, income inequality, and the lingering question of what to do with all that coal smoke. But one thing was clear: America was on the move, and its economy was hitched to the unstoppable locomotive of industrial progress. War? What is it good for? Besides an economic boost, apparently. Let's be clear, war is terrible. It's devastating, tragic, and should be avoided at all costs. The human cost is immeasurable, with countless lives lost, families torn apart, and communities destroyed. The psychological scars left on those who survive can last a lifetime, affecting generations to come. But you knew there was going to be a but, didn't you? It's a harsh reality that amidst the chaos and destruction, there are some who find opportunity. It can also be a bit of an economic gold mine. The demand for military supplies and equipment can lead to a surge in industrial production, creating jobs and stimulating economic growth.
Don't get us wrong, we're not saying that America wars. The idea of profiting from conflict is morally complex and deeply unsettling. It's just that when they happen to stumble into a couple of world wars, their economy tends to get a bit of a boost. The influx of government contracts for war materials can lead to a boom in manufacturing and technological innovation. Think about it. Someone needs to make all those tanks, planes, and bombs, right? The sheer scale of production required for a global conflict can transform industries and drive economic expansion. And who better to do it than a country with a knack for mass production and a surplus of raw materials? The United States, with its vast industrial capacity and abundant natural resources, was uniquely positioned to meet this demand.
Plus, while Europe was busy rebuilding after the wars, America's infrastructure was relatively unscathed. This gave the U.S. a significant advantage in the post-war period. This allowed them to step in and fill the void, becoming the world's supplier of everything from food to machinery. American factories that had been producing war materials could now pivot to consumer goods, fueling a post-war economic boom. Is it a little messed up that America benefited from global tragedies? Absolutely. The ethical implications are troubling, and it's important to acknowledge the suffering that made this economic growth possible. But it's also a part of their economic story, and it helps explain how they ended up in the driver's seat. The economic boost from wartime production and the subsequent post-war recovery played a crucial role in establishing the United States as a global economic powerhouse. The technological advancements and industrial growth spurred by wartime needs laid the foundation for future prosperity. Innovations in manufacturing, logistics, and technology developed during the war years had lasting impacts on the American economy. The post-war era saw a rise in the standard of living for many Americans, with increased access to consumer goods, housing, and education. The economic benefits of wartime production extended far beyond the battlefield, shaping the American way of life for decades to come. So, while war is undeniably a tragedy, its economic impact is a complex and multifaceted story. Understanding this aspect of history helps us see the full picture of how nations evolve and how economies are shaped by both conflict and peace. And perhaps, in understanding this, we can strive for a future where economic growth is driven by innovation and cooperation rather than conflict and destruction. Section 4. Peace, Love, and Shopping Sprees, the Post-War Boom. After World War II, America experienced an economic sugar rush, the likes of which the world had never seen.
With factories humming, soldiers returning home, and a pent-up demand for consumer goods, the stage was set for a golden age of prosperity.
People were buying cars, houses, and fancy new appliances like they were going out of style, which, to be fair, they kind of were thanks to the whole planned obsolescence thing.
This era also saw the rise of the suburbs, the baby boom, and a whole lot of jello molds.
It was a time of optimism, abundance, and the unshakable belief that the good times would never end.
Of course, we all know how that turned out.
But for a few glorious decades, America was living the dream, and the rest of the world was just trying to keep up. Section 5, Silicon Valley, where nerds became millionaires and made everyone's lives weirder. Silicon Valley, a place that has become synonymous with innovation, disruption, and, of course, wealth. It's a region that has transformed from orchards and farmland into the epicenter of the tech universe. Here, dreams are coded into reality and fortunes are made overnight. Remember those kids in school who were really into computers? The ones who spent their lunch breaks in the computer lab tinkering with early software and hardware while others played outside? They were the pioneers of a digital revolution that would change the world.
The ones who spoke in binary code and built robots in their garages? Yeah, it turns out they were onto something. These young enthusiasts, often misunderstood and underestimated, were laying the groundwork for the technological advancements we now take for granted. They were the early adopters, the visionaries who saw potential where others saw only complexity.
The rise of Silicon Valley and the tech boom of the late 20th century was like a seismic shift in the global economy. It wasn't just about new gadgets and software. It was about a new way of thinking, a new way of doing business. The traditional industries were being disrupted, and a new digital economy was emerging, one that valued innovation and agility over size and tradition.
Suddenly, the geeks were inheriting the earth, and they were doing it with lines of code and silicon chips. These were the new tools of power, and those who mastered them found themselves at the forefront of a global transformation. Startups were popping up in garages and dorm rooms, and the world was starting to take notice.
Companies like Apple, Microsoft, and Google became household names, and the internet transformed the way we live, work, and stalk our exes on social media. These companies didn't just create products, they created ecosystems, platforms that became integral parts of our daily lives. The internet became a global marketplace, a social hub, and a repository of human knowledge.
This new digital economy created unimaginable wealth, but it also brought its own set of challenges: job displacement, privacy concerns, and the ever-present fear that our toasters might one day rise up against us. The rapid pace of technological change left many struggling to keep up, and the digital divide became a new form of inequality. Yet the promise of technology continued to drive innovation and investment.
But one thing's for sure, the tech boom cemented America's position as the world's innovation hub and ensured that their economic future would be inextricably linked to the digital realm. Silicon Valley became a symbol of what was possible when creativity, ambition, and technology converged. It was a place where the impossible became possible, and where the future was being invented every day. The legacy of Silicon Valley is not just in the wealth it created, but in the way it reshaped our world and our lives.